Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Let me see who's reading today. Hi, Mati. Yeah, when you're ready, you can start, Mati.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Today we are reading Canto 4, Chapter 18, text 22 to 32. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudire Nashtaprayesu Abhatresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktirvavati Naistiki. Thereafter cobras and snakes, without hoods, large snakes, scorpions, and many other poisonous animals took poison out of the planet Earth as their milk and kept this poison in snake holes. They made a calf out of takshaks. The four-legged animals, like the cows, made a calf out of the bull who carries Lord Shiva and made a milking pot out of the forest. Thus they got fresh green grasses to eat. Ferocious animals like tigers transformed a lion into a calf, and thus they were able to get flesh for milk. The birds made a calf out of Garuda and took milk from the planet Earth in the form of moving insects and non-moving plants and grasses. The trees made a calf out of the banyan tree, and thus they derived milk in the form of many delicious juices. The mountains transferred the Himalayas into a calf, and they milked a variety of minerals into a pot made of the peaks of hill. The planet Earth supplied everyone his respective food. During the time of King Prithu, the earth was fully under the control of the king. Thus, all the inhabitants of the earth could get their food supply by creating various types of crops and putting their particular type of milks in various pots. My dear Vidura, chief of the Kurus, in this way King Prithu and all the others who subsist on food created different types of calves and milked out their respective eatables. Thus they received their various foodstuffs, which were symbolized as milk. Thereafter King Prithu was very satisfied with the planet Earth, for the sufficiently supplied all food to various living entities. Thus he developed an affection for the planet Earth, just as if she were his own daughter. After this, the king of all kings, Maharaj Prithu, leveled all rough places on the surface of the globe by breaking up the hills with the strength of his bow. By his grace, the surface of the globe almost became flat. To all the citizens of the state, King Prithu was as good as a father. Thus he was visibly engaged in giving them proper subsistence and proper employment for subsistence. After leveling the surface of the globe, he earmarked different places for residential quarters inasmuch as they were desirable. In this way, the king founded many types of villages, settlements, and towns, and built forts, residences for cowherdsmen, stables for the animals, places for the royal camps, mining places, agricultural towns, and mountain villages. Before the reign of King Prithu, there was no planned arrangement for different cities, villages, pasturing grounds, etc. Everything was scattered, and everyone constructed his residential quarters according to his own convenience. However, from the time of King Prithu, plans were made for towns and villages. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mati. Hare Krishna. Yeah, Krishna Prabhu, whenever you're ready, you can start, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu, yeah. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for giving this opportunity to purify myself. And thank you, Hemang Mataji, for reading today's Bhagavatam section versus translation. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, 18th chapter, titled Prithumara's Milks the Earth Planet, slokas 22 to 32. This is the last section of this chapter. Very interesting. Let's start with prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachatta Deshatar. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So just to give a background, we are in the section of Prithumara's pastimes. So in the earlier chapters, we see that, when Prithumara's appeared, the reciters glorified him that what are the wonderful activities that he is going to perform. Like one of them is milking the earth. So of course there are others, like he will perform 100 Aswamedha Yajnas, and he will rule the planet, earth planet very nicely, and he protect all the citizens. He will receive the instructions for 4 Kumaras like that. And in the previous chapter, Vidura inquired, like, why did Mother Earth took the shape of a cow? Why Indra stole the horse? Those kind of questions. And Maitreya Muni started narrating or giving explanation for Vidura's questions, like starting with milking the Mother Earth. So he mentions that when Prithumara's appeared, at that time there is a scarcity of food, and citizens requested Prithumara's to help. And Prithumara's contemplated for a while for the reason, and then you see that the Mother Earth is not producing the food grains for the citizens. And then he wanted to chastise Mother Earth. Then Mother Earth, we saw that she took a shape of a cow and fleeing away from Prithumara's, and Prithumara's chased her. And then Mother Earth asked why she wanted to kill her. And Prithumara's mentions that because she is not producing enough food grains that are needed for the citizens. And in this chapter, the earlier sections, we saw that Mother Earth mentioning to Prithumara's that food grains or herbs or seeds, because they were used by non-devotees, and people are not treating Mother Earth very nicely, and also the kings who are ruling, they are not punishing the citizens for their offensive nature towards Mother Earth. So she was not producing or hidden all food grains, and now she is ready to produce the food grains, but because they were hidden for many years, they were deteriorated. So now she mentions to Prithumara's to bring them back through a certain process. And we had in the last session that Achita Radhika Mataji very nicely summarized how Mother Earth mentions that to bring a calf so that she would be affectionate, and she can Prithumara's can milk the cow, Mother Earth, and he can get whatever they need it. And also she tells to level the surface so that the earth can stay moistened even after the rainy season is completed. And it is also fit for agriculture purpose. So then the last session we heard how different people milked Mother Earth, like Prithumara's milked, the sages milked demigods, and the sons of Titi, the demons, like that. The last session we saw that the last sloka, that Akshas, Rakshas, Ghosts, they milked. So we'll continue from sloka 22 today. And in the sloka 22, we see that the various living entities like cobras, snakes without hoods, or the large snakes, scorpions. So many poisonous animals, they milked Mother Earth and they received what they need, which is poison out of the planet Earth. And they kept that poison in their snake holes. And who was the calf? Takshaka is the calf. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport that there are many living entities in this universe, like different types of living entities. It's like there are 8.4 million species, am I right? Jalaja, Navalakshani, Stavara, Lakshavimsati, like that, There are 900,000 types of living entities who are in the aquatics, living in the water, 2 million living entities like trees and plants, plants like that. So like that, there are 8.4 million species, and out of them, 400,000 are human species. And the point Prabhupada mentions that Krishna made arrangement for all the living entities to have their food through the mother nature. And many times Prabhupada gives example like, the elephant in the forest, it eats 1 ton of food every day. So we cannot eat even 1 kg of food. But Krishna is providing. And everyone is getting their food items from the planet Earth. But of course, some of them, after they taking the food or the whatever they are need from Earth, they act sinful, and some of them they act very nicely. It all depends on their material qualities. So based on their material qualities, they have a certain type of character. And here we see that the snakes, after taking the whatever the food they need, they produce poison. Like Prabhupada mentions quotes that Paya Panam Bhujanganam, like if one feeds the serpent with nice milk, it will increase the poison. But if the same milk, if it is supplied to a saintly personality, then his brain tissues will be sharpened, and then he can contemplate on the higher spiritual knowledge. But the Lord is supplying everyone with whatever the food that they require. But according to the living entities association with the modes of material nature. So, and the living entity develop certain type of character. So, and Krishna also mentions in Bhagavad Gita, Karanam Guna Sangasya Sada Asat Yoni Janmasu, like based on the association of a living entity with material nature, Sattva Rajo Tamo Gunas, then he develops a specific type of character. Some with good qualities, some with bad qualities, like that. And another point we see that here that because we are receiving from Mother Earth whatever we need, so it's our responsibility to show some gratitude towards Mother Earth, not by messing up her or dumping the junk, or not treating her well, like that. And not only towards Mother Earth, so same concept applies for to all the other living entities who are helping us or who helped in the past. So we should develop a gratitude. So especially the devotee communities who are giving their wonderful association, so that we are inspired to progress in the path of bhakti. So we should show gratitude towards them. Or if somebody is initiated, they should have a gratitude towards their guru, because during the initiation, the guru will take all our sinful reactions. So it's a huge thing, because one sinful reaction will create a great havoc in our life. It will bring great misfortune or lot of suffering. And we can understand, how merciful the guru taking all our sinful reactions during the initiation, so that we should be very grateful. Or towards Srila Prabhupada, who established this ISKCON, translated many books so that we can read them and then be inspired to progress in the path of bhakti. And he gave a wonderful devotee community. So whoever helped in our life, we should be very gratitude for them. And similarly, we use the Mother Earth for the right purpose, use them in the right manner, and go back home, back to Godhead. not misuse for our own sense gratification, and be trapped in the cycle of birth and death, because that's miserable or brings only suffering. And Prabhupada mentions that based on our gunas, we have certain type of character. Maybe we could be in a lower modes currently, because I'm talking to myself. But if we can push ourselves in the association of the devotees, then our gunas slowly elevated. So we can slowly come out of tamoguna or rajoguna and go to sattoguna. And in fact, if we can progress in the path of bhakti, then we can be nistraygunya, like we can rise above the three modes also. So if we remain in the association of the non-devotees but not practicing path of bhakti, then instead of going back to Godhead, we'll go towards the hellish planets. So it's better we strive as best as we can to be in the association of the devotees. And the text 23-24, we see a different set of living entities here who are milking Mother Earth. So the four-legged animals, like the cows, they made a bull, who is the carrier of Lord Shiva, Nandishvara, as a calf. And then they milked pot out of the forest. So that's the four-legged animals. And based on that, what they got? Fresh green grasses to eat. And then there is a ferocious animals like tigers. They transfer lion into a calf. That is their calf. And when they milk, what they got? The flesh, because the ferocious animals eats flesh. And the birds, they made Garuda as a calf. And what they received as their food is moving insects and non-moving planets and grasses. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport that in the birds community, there are vegetarian and there are non-vegetarian. So some of the birds, like vultures, they eat flesh, and some of the birds looks like they eat goats also, and some of them they eat monkeys also. But many of the birds they eat fruits and grass or vegetables like that. So each living entity depends on other living entity. Like Bhagavatam mentions that Jivo Jivasya Jivanam. Like the general rule is so one living being is food for another. And Prabhupada quotes at that purport that though one living entity is the food for another living entity, but the human life is meant for self-realization. So because of that, whatever he is eating, it should be offered to the Supreme Lord first, and then take it as a prasad. And of course, we know that from Bhagavad Gita, the Lord accepts only the vegetables, fruits, or leaves like that. Patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam, like that. So hence the devotee should be eating only vegetarian, and that too offer it to the Supreme Lord and take it as a Mahaprashadam. So by eating Mahaprashadam, a devotee not only get any reaction, but he also burns the previous reactions. So whatever he has it, and also he will develop the good qualities, and then because the whole body gets purified by taking prasadam, and then he will be eligible to understand the higher knowledge, the spiritual knowledge. So in this way, he can progress his journey towards the spiritual world, so that he can be happy all the time. So not only the Vedic scriptures, even other literatures also mentions, like in Bible also, Lord Jesus tells, thou shall not kill. Like without need, one should not kill other living entities. And he will also tell that, he has given every plant yielding seed, and also every tree with seed in its fruit. So one should have them as the food. So it stresses to be a vegetarian. That's why one of the rule or regulation for devotees is not to eat meat, no meat eating. And then in the text 25, we see the other section of the living entities, like the trees. So the trees made banyan tree as their calf. And when they milked, so what they got, many delicious juices. And then there is a mountains, so they have Himalayas as the calf, and they, when they milk, they got minerals, variety of minerals, and the pot made of peaks of hills. So we see each group of living entities are coming and making one person as a calf, and they have their part, because when they milk the cow, whatever the milk they get, they can put it in that pot, and then they get whatever the need they wanted. And in the text 26, we see that the planet Earth supplied everyone his respective food. And during the time of King Prithu, the earth was fully under the control of the king. And all the inhabitants of the earth could get their food supply by creating various types of cows and putting their particular types of milk in various pots. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport that this is the evidence that every living entity is supplied with whatever the food they need by Supreme Lord Krishna. And Prabhupada quotes that Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kama. Krishna is one, the Supreme Lord, but he is supplying all the necessities to everyone and through the medium of planet Earth. So not just in this planet, but all other planets also. So there is no scarcity of food. Here I think from one of the statement of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, only the scarcity on this planet is Krishna consciousness. So there is no scarcity of food. As long as the living entities don't misuse the earth, the earth will produce all the food items that are required for all the living entities. So only scarcity is Krishna consciousness. Even one of the quote of Mahatma Gandhi is, this world has everything for all the living entities need, but this entire world is not enough even for one man greed. So the need is different and the greed is different. So if we are not greedy, then the Mother Earth can produce for all the living entities whatever they need. So, and in the next sloka 27, you see that Maitreya Muni is telling that my Vidura, the chief of Kurus, in this way King Prithu and all others who subsist on food created different types of calves and milked out their respective individuals. Thus they received their various foodstuffs which were symbolized as milk. So they received whatever all the living entities. So they milked the Mother Earth, making one of them as a calf, and whatever the respective individuals they need, they got it, and it is symbolized as milk. And then the text 28, we see that King Prithu is very satisfied with the planet Earth because he sufficiently supplied all food to various living entities. Hence, he developed an affection for Mother Earth, as if she were his own daughter. So, and one of the name of the Mother Earth is Prithvi. That name is coming from Prithu Maharaj because she treated Mother Earth as his own daughter. So similarly, we should also show gratitude towards Mother Earth because she is producing whatever we need to survive our day-to-day life. In the text 29, see that Maharaj Prithu, so he leveled all rough places on the surface of the globe by breaking up hills with the strength of his bow. And then by his grace, the globe became flat. Prabhupada mentions that generally it is the business of King Indra to level all the rough places. So generally King Indra uses his thunderbolt and breaks the mountains or hilly portions and make the earth flat so that it can be fit for agriculture purpose. And also during the rainy season when the rain comes, so the rain will be absorbed by Mother Earth. And after the rainy season is also over, the Mother Earth can stay moist. So that's a advantage for making it flat, and is fit for agriculture also. But that's the business of Indra. But Prithu Maharaj, here we see that he did not wait for Indra to do that task. Instead, he used this bow, which has a great strength, and leveled the Mother Earth so that it can be fit for agriculture. So this is called proactive. So we hear this word proactive mostly in the offices, like, one should be proactive and look for any issues in the application before the customer finds, like that, or else uh, analyze the system and see if there are any improvements that can be done, and uh, take them to the customer and get their approval and get the funding, and then enhance the application, like that. It is proactive. Even in our materialistic life also, people are proactive, right, to acquire more wealth, or name and fame, not waiting for someone to help out. So similarly, we should also be proactive in our spiritual life. We should look for opportunity which would help us to progress in the path of bhakti, Krishna consciousness. How can I be progressed so that I can chant 16 rounds every day? How can I be progress in the path of bhakti, if that requires taking the devotees of devotees association, and look for the opportunity to take the association of the devotees, or if it helps for us to progress in the path of bhakti, which requires to take the shelter of a guru, then look for a guru. So instead, someone coming and helping out, we look for proactively. We look for it. The opportunities to be in the association of the devotees or to take shelter of guru. That way, we also proactively progress in the path of bhakti. Because I'm talking to myself. In the next sloka, 30th, we see that all the citizens of the state, King Prithu was as good as a father, and was visibly engaged in giving them proper substance and proper employment for subsistence. And after leveling the surface of the globe, earmarked different places of residential quarters in as much as they were desirable. And before, at the time of Prithu Maharaj appeared, all the people came and requested Prithu Maharaj that they don't have any employment, and they requested to provide some employment. And here we see that, Prithu Maharaj, by leveling the surface and making the earth to be fit for the agriculture production, so he created employment for all the citizens. It is good to have the employment or engaged, each and every person to be engaged in some employment, because otherwise, if it is empty mind, it's called devil's den, right? So if no employment, then what the mind does is it will push us into the materialist activities, and mostly they are sinful in this Kali Yuga. So that's why it is good to be engaged in some employment, and it also helps us to maintain our family day-to-day life, and engage rest of the time in the Krishna conscious activities, so that we'll be balancing, like, we progress in the path of bhakti, at the same time we take care of the family very nicely. And in the text 31, you see that in this way, the king founded many types of villages and settlements and towns, and he built forts, residence, and even stables for animals, and places for the royal camps, mining places, and then agricultural towns and mountains and villages, like that. So this is a very nice that we see that Prithu Maharaj had a great planning on how he constructed villages or towns, like that. You see that in the last sloka of today's section, and the last sloka of this chapter also. King Prithu, before King Prithu, there was no planned arrangement for different cities, villages, or pasturing grounds. Everything was scattered, and everyone constructed their residence quarters according to his own convenience. But after from the time of Prithu Maharaj, there is a planning of towns and villages. Prabhupada mentions in the purport that from this we can see that the city planning or any other plannings, constructions, it's not something new. What the modern management says that, the government says that, we are creating a planned cities like that. But this was there from the time of Prithu Maharaj. So we see that here. So he has created many types of villages and then cities, and he constructed everything in a planned manner. Prabhupada mentions that if we look at the old cities that were there earlier, like Dwaraka, Mathura, Hastinapura, we could see this planning. Of course, I have not visited these places, but so it looks like they were constructed in a planned manner. At least we can understand from the Bhagavatam about the Dwaraka city, like, the Dwaraka city. So it was created in such a way that it is filled with opulence in all seasons. And they were hermitages, flower gardens, parks, and reservoirs of waters, all those things. So if we look at closely, so those days when the planning happened, so mostly the planning is in such a way that they utilize the gifts of nature. Like, they will use the reservoir of waters, build the flower gardens or the parks, and those kind of things. But not the way that the modern society is going, like, the big factories which will produce bolts and nuts because they are not helpful, or construct big slaughterhouses or liquor shops or pubs and restaurants or movie theaters. Not like that. Because all these things these days, especially in the metro cities, it became the prime necessities. But in those days, when the construction of the cities and villages happened, it's all based on the centered with Vedic culture. Like, there are temples, Vedic education centers that helps the people to have the good understanding of the purpose of the human life, the higher knowledge, and it will also helps them to develop good qualities and helps to lead the peaceful life and slowly progress in the path of bhakti so that they can go back home, back to Godhead. But in the way that modern society constructing the cities or metro cities like that, so it will increase our lust and anger, because there are many movie theaters, billboards with things that increases our lust and anger. And these pubs and restaurants, they will increase our sinful activities. So the environment is leading towards the hellish planet instead of elevating our consciousness and help us to go back home, back to God's spiritual world. But it is pushing towards the hellish planets. So that's why it is very important. Of course, especially in this Kali Yuga, this Kali Yuga has many faults. Kalir dosha nidya rajan. But there is one great quality. Asti eko mahaguna kirtanadayeva krishnasya mukta sangha paramraja. So there are many things that induces us to be close to the simple related activities. But as long as if we can push ourselves to be in the association of the devotees and chant this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, as prescribed by the Acharyas or given by Guru, then we can be saved from the constant attack of the Maya. And instead of we going towards the hellish planet, we can go back home, back to Godhead in this life. That is Prabhupada's assurance, that if we chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day, follow 4 regulative principles, be in the association of the devotees, take a shelter of Guru, Prabhupada assures that in this life, we can go back home, back to Godhead and avoid all the suffering or avoid going to the hellish planets. So I'll pause it here. Thank you all for giving this opportunity. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vranda ki jai. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you so much, Krishna Prabhuji, for the wonderful class.